Stop. Listen closely. You need to watch this video in full because it is the most important piece of content that I have shared in weeks. Hello, my friend. It is Perez, the queen of all media, the original influencer, reporter, podcaster, and your #1 source for everything It Ends With Us saga. This video is going to throw a lot of curveballs at you. You will be surprised because I have scored 2 court victories. I'm also calling out Team Baldoni for something crappy, and some other actors just got dragged into this mess. Let's get into it. Up first, the baby bump Bruja issued a subpoena against me, as many of you know and I have been covering. I protect my sources and I am fighting back because the information that is being sought from me is protected and privileged by the First Amendment and reporter's privilege. I am a journalist, whether she likes it or not. The appropriate venue to compel or quash subpoena Serena's subpoena against me is Las Vegas, where I live and work and where she herself listed as the place of compliance. So, last month, I filed a motion to quash this unethical and unenforceable subpoena in Las Vegas. And guess what? She and her very expensive lawyers just effed up. Big time! The court here in my beautiful hometown of Las Vegas, with some very sensible, ethical, smart judges, gave Team Ridicula until Monday, August 11th, to respond to my motion to quash. And I am still in shock. Monday, August 11th, came and went without opposition, without any response whatsoever. So, me being Elle Woods in training just sent a beautiful, potentially game-changing request to the court in Las Vegas. Let me read it to you. Dated today, it says, notice regarding non-opposition to motion to quash and request for motion to be granted. To the Honorable Court, on July 28th, 2025, I filed my motion to quash subpoena in the above referenced matter. I included on top the case number. And in my motion to quash, it has all the details and all of the arguments that I'm making. My letter today continues. This court issued an order directing that any response or opposition to my motion to quash be filed no later than August 11th, 2025. As of today, August 12th, 2025, no response or opposition has been filed by Miss Lively or her counsel. Under Local Rule 7-2D, the failure of an opposing party to file points and authorities in response to a motion constitutes a consent to the granting of the motion. How could this have happened? Accordingly, I continue in my letter, I respectfully request that the court grant my motion to quash on the basis of non-opposition. In addition, I continue to stand by the merits and legal grounds set forth in my motion, which remain true, valid, and unrebutted. I'm just saying a prayer that the court here in Las Vegas grants my request before her bestie, lapdog Lyman, rules in New York. Because Judge Lyman is threatening me that he might have jurisdiction over me because I allegedly consented, which I did not. Her legal team claims that I consented to his jurisdiction by filing a request for a protective order there. That's not true. So there is a possibility the judge in Las Vegas may grant this ASAP. Judge Lyman over in New York said he wouldn't even consider Team Kaka's cross motion to compel my subpoena until August the 14th, Thursday. So if Nevada grants my motion Wednesday, that would be like the dream scenario. I'm not a fool, though. I'm sure that her very expensive lawyers will come up with some excuse to try and remedy this problem that they now have, thanks to me. So, obviously, I will keep you updated on that front. Meanwhile, with regards to the biased, bought-for, and unethical Judge Lyman, in my opinion, I am not stating this in any court filing. This is in my video. Yesterday, I didn't even get a chance to check my email once. I have been so busy dealing with all of this craziness. But as many of you know, yesterday, Judge Lyman ruled that he still hasn't determined if he does have jurisdiction over me. The judge was so kind that yesterday he had his office, his chambers, personally email me that order. I didn't see it until today. So you know what I did? Yesterday, Monday, August the 11th, I sent to Judge Lyman in New York a new and different request for an extension of time and or pause. I'm trying everything, y'all. I officially asked for the judge to pause until Nevada sorts everything out, which I think is very sensible. The judge has not uploaded that into the docket and hasn't ruled on it. So today I thanked the judge's chambers, his office, for yesterday sending me a copy of his order saying that it's a little complicated. Follow me along, right? Yesterday, the judge sent me the order that he still hasn't ruled about jurisdiction. But if I don't respond by Wednesday, August 13th, then he will consider her argument that I surrendered jurisdiction without opposition. So yesterday I said, let's put it on pause officially until Nevada sorts it out. They're the correct venue. The judge hasn't uploaded that to the docket. So today I acknowledged receipt of his order from yesterday and I CC'd the court docket, the clerks, the pro se department, and I reattached my request from yesterday, which has not been added to the court docket yet. And I'm letting everybody know that. Very unethical, very shady. But knowing Judge Lyman, he probably won't even rule on it until Thursday, after my deadline to respond in New York. And it just sucks because I'm representing myself without an attorney, pro se, and this feels like a trap. I know that the judge in New York does not have jurisdiction over me. She can try to argue otherwise, but it's not true. Craziness. And speaking of Judge Lyman, he just issued a ruling thanks to me. Another win. Not for me, but for all of her alleged victims going forward. As you know, that expression, the squeaky wheel gets the grease, I've told you all that was one of my many strategies in all of this. In filing after filing with this disgusting judge in New York, I have called her team out for sharing publicly the private and sensitive information of parties and non-parties. Time and time again, her lawyers filed unredacted home addresses and cell phone numbers. They could have just filed a redacted version on the court docket and filed the unredacted version under seal. But they didn't, time and time again. And they got away with doing that because the judge allowed it. Not once did Lyman reprimand Ezra and Mike and her team for their unethical behavior. Not once. Well, Judge Lyman, lying Lyman, just changed the rules in his court. You're welcome. He issued the following ruling, saying, quote, "Going forward, the parties will not be required to seek the court's permission to redact in public filings PII. PII stands for personally identifying information. Going forward, the parties will not be required to seek the court's permission to redact in public filings PII in the form of personal phone numbers or email addresses unless, this is ridiculous though. It's a win, but not that strong. Unless those numbers or email addresses have some plausible relevance to a pending legal issue. The judge should have included home addresses there also. Ridículo. I just don't understand why the private home address of a party or non-party especially is relevant for the public to know. Yes, the court, the judge, Your Honor, should see the unredacted version filed under seal, but the public docket should get a redacted version, especially in this case where I have repeatedly informed the court of the death threats, the kidnapping attempt, the harassment, the bullying. This is an exceptionally high-profile case where people are monitoring every filing and a lot of dangerous individuals are paying attention. It's documented. Death threats, kidnapping attempt, arson that happened. But I'll take this smaller victory. Still, it's a step in the right direction. And hopefully, the wife of Scarlett Johansson's ex-husband and her legal team get the hint and going forward, file any personally identifiable information, including home addresses, under seal. Publicly redacted. Okay? That's the right thing to do. Now, on to a not surprising move, but new development from Team Baldoni Wayfarer. This is crazy. They have filed a request to serve third-party Isabella Ferrer by alternative service. What's so crazy about it? Let me tell you. As some of you might know, this actress played her younger version in the movie It Ends With Us. And Isabella Ferrer has a lawyer. The Baldoni Wayfarer parties know who her lawyer is, and her lawyer is not accepting the subpoena on behalf of his client. Did she, and perhaps the rest of the cast, really think it wasn't going to get to this point? It is. And before I criticize Team Baldoni Wayfarer, deservedly, let's get into this. Team Baldoni Wayfarer claims that this actress, Miss Ferrer, is a witness to facts surrounding the claims and defenses in this litigation. She played young Lily Bloom. They tell the judge, Sanford L. Michelman, Esquire of Michelman and Robinson, has advised counsel for the Wayfarer parties in writing that he represents Isabel Ferrer in connection with the dispute at issue herein. They tell the judge that on July the 3rd, they sent this actress's counsel an email to accept service of a subpoena for her. However, he did not respond. Then again, 5 days later, they sent another request for this actress's lawyer to accept the subpoena on her behalf, and he failed to respond. So they tried to personally serve the subpoena on her, and they filed an affidavit of service attempting to hand her the subpoena unsuccessfully. The exact legal name for that is the affidavit of due diligence, meaning they tried and they couldn't. So that's why they're asking the judge for ability now to serve through other means, which the opposing side has done repeatedly. And the judge granted, serving via social media, by phone call, by email directly, and by placing the subpoena at their last known addresses. So they say, for the foregoing reasons, the court should enter an order permitting the Wayfarer parties to serve Miss Ferrer by a combination of nail and mail service, email, telephone, and by service upon her counsel for the pendency of this action. I think that is all very sensible, and they themselves claim that she is a fact witness, which makes all the sense. She was an actress. She saw things. And correct me if I'm wrong here, because I've ingested, absorbed, and retained so much information, but some of it has seeped out. The brain's like a sponge. It can only hold so much. I do remember this actress in question, Isabel Ferrer, specifically, publicly supporting Justin Baldoni after the movie wrapped, but before all of the saga kicked off. So this one actress is especially important for Team Baldoni Wayfarer. I think the judge should absolutely grant this request, but it's Judge Lyman, and I don't know if he will, because we know how he is. Corrupt, biased, unethical, bought and paid for in her pocket. The Wayfarer parties submitted 2 affidavits of due diligence. They tried to serve her at an address in Brooklyn where they believed that she lived or lives. And they also tried to serve her in Sag Harbor, New York, where they also believe she lived or lives. And in both of these affidavits of due diligence, the Baldoni Wayfarer parties list both addresses publicly on the court docket. The New York Brooklyn address and the New York Sag Harbor address. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, because I just shared some information previously, but I'm pretty sure if they wanted to, they could have proactively taken the step of saying, Your Honor, we are submitting this and we are filing it under seal so that you can see the unredacted version of the affidavit of due diligence. But for safety and privacy concerns for the public docket, we are submitting this redacted version. They could have done that, right? Or could they not have? I'm pretty sure they could have. And they didn't. And I call her team out for this same behavior, and I'm going to call them out for it. No more. No más. Don't do it. Disappointing, I say. What do you say about this? About the order the judge gave today thanks to me, and about the development in Las Vegas. I can't believe that. I cannot believe that. I am in shock. I am shooketh. I'm sure by tomorrow it'll all come crumbling down for me, but I will celebrate this today. All right, lots to discuss, my fam. Let's get into it all in the comments section. Mwah!